If you were to die tomorrow, what exactly would you think your purpose was? Your passion? Your art? Your family? For a lot of us, our reason for living is our passion and our need to be seen. What if I told you that your answer is wrong? Soul is a Pixar animated movie released in 2020 that has a lot of impact for me personally. People with a lot of ambition may also feel heavily impacted by the messages the movie sets out to tell. It follows the journey of a middle-aged aspiring pianist, Joe, who dreams of being more than a middle school band teacher. In the film, he finally gets his big break and is invited to work with the famous jazz musician Dorothea Williams and her quartet. Excited to finally live his dream, Joe runs around New York City, fixated on the fact that he has finally achieved this dream. He's going to be somebody. He's so focused on this good news that he avoids death or serious injury multiple times by the dangers in the big city. Eventually, he falls through an open manhole and his life is snuffed out as early as it had just begun. In our next scene, Joe drops into the stairs into the great beyond. This is the afterlife, where your soul is supposed to go after you've passed. Joe isn't going to accept that his life is over, though, and quickly escapes his permanent death, which sets the soul counting off. Joe travels through the great before, a life for pre-existing souls who develop personalities and must find their spark before beginning their lives on Earth. Through his denial of dying and desperation of going back to play his big performance, Joe eventually meets 22.
Stop fighting me! I don't want to go to Earth and have a life!
22 has been at the U Seminar for quite some time and has had such notable mentors as Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, and Mother Teresa.
I made her cry!
Ignore that.
A lost soul who is set on allowing things in their pre-existence of life to continue. Simply, 22 does not desire to leave the great before and live on Earth. Most souls in the great before need to complete a chart to receive an Earth pass so that they may experience life on Earth. This includes personality traits and finding your spark. When all of this is filled, the soul receives an Earth pass and can experience life. The rest of the movie involves Joe and 22 accidentally finding themselves on Earth in the wrong bodies, and the antics that follow. Eventually, Joe and 22 are caught by the soul accountant, Terry, who knew that Joe had cheated death and tried to escape his fate. Once back in the great before, the audience notices that 22 has her Earth pass, meaning she's ready to go onto Earth and truly live. The higher beings in the great beyond are elated for the young soul and insist that Joe sees 22 off. To put it simply, Joe is an asshole, though, and insists that he deserves the pass from 22 because she truly didn't find her spark and shouldn't have a chance to live. Joe insists that 22 must have stolen his spark from music when she was living in his body. Eventually, 22 just gives up and throws the Earth pass at Joe and disappears. So the musician flies back to Earth in his body and makes it just in time for his performance with the Dorothea Williams Quartet. The night goes smoothly, and the jazz is beautiful. Once everyone starts to shuffle to leave, Joe is left under the awning outside, contemplating. Dorothea steps out and asks how everything went. This is Joe's response.
What's wrong, Teach?
It's just I've been waiting on this day for my entire life. I thought I'd feel different.
After the initial response, we get the fish story from Dorothea.
I heard this story about a fish. He swims up to this older fish and says, I'm trying to find this thing they call the ocean. The ocean, says the older fish. That's what you're in right now. This, says the young fish, this is water. What I want is the ocean.
When this movie came out a few years ago, the story really confused me. What the hell did it mean? Why couldn't the young fish understand that he was in the ocean? Without spoiling the movie too much, Joe Gardner ends back in his body, but he's also learned a valuable lesson and is able to live his life in a new perspective. So, you must be asking, why is this movie so important? Who cares about the middle school band teacher that finally got what he wanted in the end? Well, the movie shows us the reality of our dreams and what we believe our purpose in life is. Some people want to be an actor, or a songwriter, or even an animator. Whatever you want to do in your life, most of the time you have an image of what your end goal is, what you want to be at the end of it. You have adoring fans and live in a penthouse where you party every night and do coke. You get the gist. But ask yourself this. is that really my life's purpose? What's gonna happen when you fulfill and reach that goal like Joe did? Why wasn't he happy with reaching his purpose? What if you never reach it? The answer's right in front of you. That's not your life purpose. Our lives aren't built like resumes. The number of achievements you've gained or what job experience you have or don't have doesn't equivalent to what your life is worth. Joe wasn't happy because he wasn't seeing the bigger picture. After watching this movie, a lot of people didn't understand what 22 Spark was. That's because there is no spark. Our sparks aren't our special talents, or what we're destined for. Our sparks are our appreciations for living. On our journey of life, it's easy to get lost and focused on our end goal. We forget to love the little things. Maybe for you it's the way the leaves settle on the ground and fall, or the smell of chocolate chip cookies, the way your best friend hugs you and holds you tight, even if you just saw them yesterday, 5 minutes ago, or a year ago. With that all being said, I have a question to ask you. When was the last time you found your spark?